Welcome, welcome, welcome. How much do we need to make in order to purchase a home in Garland? We're a little bit too far over here, aren't we? All right, so that is our assignment for today. How much do we need to earn? How much do we need to make to purchase a home in Garland? So that's something that we're gonna get right into in actually right now. So if you're thinking about moving, purchasing, owning property in Garland, this is your video. We're going to talk about real estate prices. We're going to talk about property taxes. We're going to talk about interest rates. I'm going to give you the exact formula, step-by-step formula that I share with our clients on how to get into a home. So you're going to see this line by line. Now, everything that you're going to see is linked down below. So make sure that if you, once I show you what we're going to use, which is our max price calculator, it is linked down below for you to download and have for you forever and for always. So this is something that, although we're going to be speaking about Garland specifically, you can apply this for anything beyond that. You can apply it if you're looking to purchase in Dallas, in Arlington, in Fort Worth, in Frisco, in Denton, wherever the case may be. This is here for you. So I just want to make sure that that's available. Now, I want to make sure that this other camera is working just fine, because sometimes we're going to need to have one-on-one conversations, and want to make sure that we're in tune. So we hopefully we don't have delays as we had in the past because of our upgrades that we've made here internally. Mostly a laptop that was way too expensive. So this is for you. This is for you, so we don't have as many delays, as many hey, I'm sorry that this software is lagging and all that fun stuff. Wow, that is true. That has lagged in the past. Hopefully it's gone away. All right, so with that being said, let's get into it right now. So Garland, Texas, let's first start off with our North Star. What is the real estate price in Garland at the moment? That's what we need to adjust for. So with Garland, you're looking at this week, the median list price for Garland is $369,000. So the reason that we're here in Altos Research is because it gives you real-time market data. This is what's happening right here and right now. This is not outdated information. So if you go here to altos.re, you're going to see this exact same screen. It's absolutely free for you. It doesn't cost you a dime. So get in here and get real-time information when you're looking to make a move. Now, the market action index, basically it tells you, is it a seller's market or is it a buyer's market? So from a seller's perspective, if it's a seller's market, that means the sellers have more leverage. That means that there's less inventory, so homeowners get to pick their offer, basically get to have a lot more options because there's not as much inventory. So the inventory is scarce. That means leverage belongs to the sellers. On the flip side, if it's a buyer's market, buyers have the leverage. That means that there's much more inventory than there are buyers, so buyers can get picky and choosy on the home that they look to purchase. So right now, in this particular market, which is Garland, what we're covering today, this is a seller's market. Now, there's several reasons for this. One is because Garland is pretty much built out. Garland is surrounded by a lot of the metroplex at this point, at least from the northeast side of the Dallas side of the metroplex. Now, that's one. Again, it's landlocked, if you will, from other cities. But also, Garland is actually one of the most affordable areas that is close to Dallas, especially on the north side. So Garland is one of the places that we look for with clients that might not have a Plano budget, might not have a Allen budget, might not have a Richardson budget. Garland has very affordable real estate, especially in the location that it happens to be in. So when it comes to the northern part of the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex, Garland is, I know technically it's a little bit east, Garland is actually the most affordable in that region. So anytime you're talking about north of I-30, basically, Garland is the least expensive. It's the most affordable in the area. So it doesn't surprise me that it's still a seller's market there quite heavily, quite so. All right, so with that being said, let's continue going. You can go and review the rest of that information at your leisure. What's important for us today are the market segments. Altos breaks it down into 4 different segments. The reason I like this particular layout is because it gives you different price points in relation to the home that you're looking to purchase. As an example, if you're looking for a home that's over 3,000 square feet or is one of the larger sizes in the entire city of Garland, then you're looking at that quadrant, that top quadrant, you're looking at a 3,000 square foot home with on average 4 beds, on average 3 baths, is about $567,000. Folks, this type of property, if you go one city over, if you go over to Plano, this exact same property is $800,000. So you can see why there's so much demand, but you can see why it's still such a seller's market, right? So it just gives you that different comparison tool just very, very quickly. So if you're looking for that, again, the northern part of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex or any part of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, hop in here, open multiple tabs, and look at the city side by side to see what the real estate differences are. This is the exact same exercise that we go with from our buyer with our buyers that are looking to move into the area, and even people that are already in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex that want some additional information. This is the exact same analysis that we do with them to visually show them what it's going to take budget-wise to get into a home that they are looking for. For our purposes today, though, we are going to go with the third quadrant. The third quadrant is it's right on line with the median list price overall, but we're going to go with the third quadrant. Why? Well, it gives it's because that's what we've been doing for quite a while. But two, it's the reason that we go with third quadrant is because it's not the lowest quadrant. So oftentimes whenever you're looking to move into a city and you're looking for what's the least amount that I can pay for a home in any city, whether that's Plano, whether that's Garland, whether that's Frisco, wherever the case may be, well, most of the individuals, while I completely relate to wanting to save some money, when you're looking at the lowest priced homes in a market that you're looking to go into or a city that you're looking to go into, most likely those are what we call investor specials. It means that there's a rehab budget that you need to factor in, because that's generally what is the fourth quadrant, right? It's going to be homes that need a little bit of updating, homes that need a little bit of sprucing up, that most individuals that are looking to move into that area might not be willing to do some rehab, where they want to go into a ready built home or a home that's ready to be lived in, is a better way of saying it. All right, so that's why we go with the third quadrant. So for our third quadrant, we're going to be shooting for 330, let's round up, 339,000. That is the price that we're looking for. Now, could you get a home for less? Yes, of course. But I want to give you real life scenarios, real life numbers that you can realistically count on when you're going and searching for a home in Garland. So you're going to see that in action today. Now, before we do that, I want to show you something real quick. We're going to go to jaimeresendez.exprealty.com. I encourage you to go to this website, which is my website. And we're going to do a visual cue. We're going to go a visual tour, no more than 30 seconds, on what homes we can purchase in Garland right now. I want to give you the real life example. So you see here on the MLS itself, you see 577 homes are available. The average price point is about 380, or the median price point is 384. We're going to go with single family. And then we are going to go to search. Now, again, we're going to spend very few seconds here. I just want to visually give you an idea of what you can expect when it comes to real estate in this area. I'm going to move myself so you get a better view. And then we're going to get into the calculations. So fear not, we're going to get right into it. But I want to give you, once we start talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's challenging to really know what that means, to really understand, well, what does this buy me? Well, we have eyes and we drive through homes. You might be in a home right now. I know I'm being facetious, but your eyes are going to be a really good indicator on, hey, is this the type of real estate that I want, right? So we're associating what we see with our eyes, and then we're associating it with our pocketbooks. So that's essentially what we're doing. All right, so the lowest priced home in the city of Garland right now is $175,000. All right, so let's continue. And we're going to go very, very quickly. But as mentioned, there's some homes that you can tell do need a little bit of work. Can you see that? Do need a little bit of rehab, do need a little bit of work on them. And that's what I was alluding to earlier on. You might not be looking, in many cases, you're not looking for the lowest price home. Yes, you do want a discount at the end of the day, but the type of home that you're looking for may not exist at the price point that you're looking at. All right, so you see we're about $250,000. These are the types of homes that you can purchase. Let's go to another one. We're not going to go through all of these pages, just give you a visual cue. So you see the types of homes. You see a lot of 2 beds. You see that quite a bit. And the ones that aren't 2 beds, like as an example of this, you see a lot of conversions. You see this particular home, that's actually not a garage. That is a 3rd bedroom that they've added. That's not uncommon for the city of Garland, in fact. Cumberland Drive, I sold a home there. There's a lot of streets that I really am fond of because either I toured homes there or sold homes there. I prefer the sold homes there. Obviously. All right, so let's skip ahead for a quick a few slides real quick. All right, now we're in the 350. This is going to be around the price point that we are targeting. Remember, we're trying to shoot for $339,000. So this is right around the ballpark, right around the budget that we're allocating for our services today. Good looking home, very well maintained. So you can see there's not a lot of cookie cutter homes here, right? So that's one of the biggest complaints that I get with new communities. Hey, they're all looking the same. They all blah, blah, blah. And I recognize that to a certain extent. But when it comes to Garland, since it is such an OG city, that meaning that a lot of homes have already been built out and don't really have new construction in them, you see a lot of unique properties, very similar to Richardson. These were the original cities that, you know, as you were looking at the suburbs, trying to get out of downtown Dallas, these were the first ones that got hit with all of that suburban, I don't want to say suburban flight because that means something else. People flocking to the suburbs. Cool. Let's keep going. Now, again, just go to heimersense.exprealty.com and you're going to have access to that. Let's get into our math. As you have any questions, please feel free to comment down below. Please feel free to hit the like button. That's going to really help the channel out a ton. So let's get into our calculation. We're trying to shoot for 339. That is our budget. All right. So this tool right here, this is linked down below. Now, two quick notes. One, this is a tool that was facilitated to us by one of our partner channels, Win the House You Love by Kyle Seagrace. So make sure that you go and check out his YouTube channel. Fantastic educational channel for you if you're considering real estate. Now, the second thing, once you get access to this, it is in the description. Make sure that you duplicate it, make a copy right here, make a copy and save it to your drive. I get so many requests in my inbox saying, hey, they don't say it, but it's their edit request to this particular Google the spreadsheet or sheet that you see right now. I get so many requests to edit it. This is mine. So once you download it, again, it is linked down below. All you have to do is go to file and no, you don't need to do that. All you need to do is, where is it? File. I'm sorry, I'm way up here. All you need to do is go to file and make a copy and save it to your drive. All right, so with that being said, let's get into it. 339, that is our North Star right now. Can we buy a home for $175,000? Yes, you just saw that there are homes available for that price. However, this is a more realistic scenario of what you're going to be finding yourself into. If you're thinking, well, of course you want the higher price point, you're a greedy real estate agent. Number one, that's offensive. Number two, no. This, knowing and having worked with so many different people, just replace it. If you don't feel comfortable with 339, the number that we're using, replace it. That's why you get this tool for you, right? So no one's forcing you to get into this price point. If you can find a home that is less and you love it, fantastic. Still give us a call. We'd love to help you and support you in that way. But if not, it's totally okay. Garland, 339. All right, down payment. Let's talk about some down payments real quick. Most of the homes that are sold not cash, meaning or let me rephrase that. They are sold as cash, but not bought as cash. So essentially, when you're purchasing a home, you have several options. You can buy the home using your personal cash. Very few folks have this amount of money in the bank. I don't blame you. Now, what most individuals do is get what's called a mortgage, aka a loan. Now, when you go and get a loan, there's several different types of loans that you can do. Most of the loans, aka mortgages, most of the loans that end up being used by consumers are going to be FHA loans, FHA, or conventional loans. Those are primarily the ones that are used. Now there's other types of loans. There's VA loans if you're in the military. There's USDA loans if there's homes that are in a USDA approved zone. There are so many different other types of loans. This is not a lender channel, but so we're not going to speak too much about that, but it's also, that's not the type of content that we're talking about right now. So we're going to focus on the two primary types of loans, which is conventional and FHA. There's some differences. Under a conventional loan, the minimum down payment that you can put into a home is 3% down. So take 3% times the value of the home and boom, there you have your down payment. From an FHA perspective, the minimum down payment that you can do is 3.5%. So it's a little bit higher in minimum down payment. So again, you do 0.035%. I'm sorry, 0.035 times 339,000, so $339,000, and then you get your down payment. All this math is going to be done on the back end. I just want to give you where the equations come from. So for our purposes today, we're going to put a 5% down payment. This is not too high. This is not too low. This is where a lot of individuals end up going, and that's a really good average of what most people end up putting in down payment. All right, so that's what the down payment is going to be. Now we'll talk about mortgage insurance here once we get to that, because your down payment directly affects your mortgage insurance. Interest rate. Now your interest rate is going to fluctuate. By the time you're watching this video tomorrow, the interest rate is going to be different. So to give you a good understanding of what's happening right now in your market, regardless of when you're watching this video, we need to look at the following. We need to look at what is our mortgage rate. So we're going to go to mortgage rate today, and we're going to go down here. So Google right now has a really good tool that just gives us a good baseline. You can get a higher rate, you can get a lower rate by a 0.234%, not by 2% or 3%. It's not going to be that, the variation is not going to be that huge, but this gives you a good understanding of what we're looking at. So we're going to get that loan was fine, but we'll just use 400,000. It's not going to matter too much for what we're doing here. All right, so here's the scenario. We're going to say we're getting $400,000. You know, if we want to lower it down, that's fine as well. It's not going to move it by that much. So let's just say our loan's going to be $300,000. We're putting down 5% down. The state that we're in, whatever it happens to be, that's not going to sway it too much. Your credit score is on an average credit score. So as you can see, we could do super clean, like extremely clean, or we could do lower than that. But for our purposes today, we're just going to do something average. Only you know your credit score, so you can adjust it accordingly. All right, so for our purposes today, we're looking at an average 30-year fixed loan of 7.45. So that's the number that we're going to use, 7.45. It's not too different from the live stream that we did on Wednesday. So we're going to go with that. So our mortgage interest rate is 7.45. By the time you get to your lender, by the time you go through your approval, it could be less, it could be more. You could find yourself with a 7.3. You could find yourself with a 7.7. It'll really depend on the amount that you're borrowing, your credit score, the amount of debt that you have, and everything in between. All right, so how long is your mortgage? Your mortgage, on most people, go with 30 years. Now, you can get a 20-year loan, you can get a 15-year loan, you can get a 40-year loan now. 30 years is where most individuals land. So we're going to use that for our purposes today. Property tax rates, please lean in right here. This is actually this is worth the price of admission, which is free. So if you can hit that like button, that'd be really, really good. Property taxes. Property taxes are one of the biggest mysteries in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, because very few people understand them. That was me for the longest time. For the longest time, property taxes were a mystery, and they just really upset me, especially when I needed to pay them on my first property that I ever bought. I didn't understand property taxes at all. And I mean zero understanding of property taxes. All I knew is this is my monthly mortgage payment. So when I, out of, I guess, ignorance, I opened up my very first bill after I ended up purchasing my first home. This was, I think, 2015 or so. Bought my first home. I think it was around $500,000. Beautiful home, fantastic castle. It was out in Carrollton. Fantastic, beautiful home. Now, when I opened up that bill, that was not beautiful. That was not fantastic. And that was not a really good experience. Because when I looked at it, I saw how much was going to principal and the interest. At the beginning of your loan, like $1 maybe is going to your principal, meaning the amount that you borrowed. Everything else, with the exception of the other things I'm going to tell you, mostly everything else goes to interest. So that's one item. The next big, huge item is the amount that you pay in property taxes. In the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, on average, you're going to pay about 1.8 to about 3% of the assessed value of your home. So if the assessed value of your home is $300,000, take whatever percentage that you fall within, multiply times that, and that's what you're paying in property taxes every single year. So if you have a $500,000 home, it's not uncommon for you to be paying tens of thousands of dollars every single year in property taxes. In fact, it's almost a guarantee. With that being said, we're going to demystify it today. So we're going to actually find the property tax rate specifically in Garland, because I gave you a range, and it's a broad range, 1.8 to 3%. If you're in a city that is towards the higher end, I'm foreshadowing, because I know Garland. Well, that's more risky. Anyway, sorry, I'll be quiet for a second. If you're in a city that is towards the higher end, then what you're looking at there is whatever value of the home that you buy, and you're gonna be paying on property taxes on the. It's gonna be slightly less than the market value, but you're gonna be paying on the value of the assessed value of that home, right? So let's look into it. The easiest thing to do is going to be go back to Google, and we're going to go to property tax rate Garland, Texas. All right, so the reason I do this in real time is because I want to show you exactly where to go to find it, because it's not that easy. So this right here, this Ownwell, I don't know if they're attorneys, I don't know what they do, but this is a third-party website. Worst case scenario, I fall back to this. If I was in your shoes, if I was in the public, I would fall back to a third-party website like this. Me personally, if I can't find the information that I'm about to show you, I would go to the MLS and I would do a little bit of calculation, because the cities do not make it all that easy. So we're gonna go straight to the city right here. Now, when we go to the tax rates, Garland's not going to be one of them. Unfortunate. When you go to the tax rates, you're going to see something. You're going to see the city tax rate 0.71, which is actually high. It's high for the city itself. Now, let's zoom out for a quick second, literally and figuratively. There are there's three for sure numbers that you're looking for that need to be added together, and there's a possibility of 2 additional rates that you are going to need to pay attention to. Whatever city you're looking to buy in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, you need for sure, they're going to have 3 property tax rates that you're going to need to add together. Does not matter the city that you're in. And that is your city tax rate, your county tax rate, your ISD tax rate. You're going to add those together. Now, in many other cities, there's 2 additional rates. There is the hospital network rate, and then there's the higher education rate. So hospital network, if you're in Dallas, think Parkland. In the higher education, think community college. So in some cities, those 2 are going to be factored in as well. You're going to be paying taxes on those as well. Not all the cities have these, but many of the cities in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex do. So again, those first 3, you can't escape them. Doesn't matter what city you're in, you're paying those. And then those other 2, you're looking at many cities having them. So that's what we're looking for right now in Garland. We know that there's a city tax rate for sure, and we just already see what that is. Now we need to add the additional ones that come to play. All right, so I kind of already know where this is going. Garland's not going to be the one that gives it straight out front. So we have to go and find some, we need to do some math, basically, is what's going to happen. So we're going to go to the most official type of websites that we can find. We're not going to go to a smart asset. We're not going to go to, this one isn't really going to have the information that we need. We're going to go to the county website. So this county, and we're going to need to do some math. This is where This is the price of admission again. And we're going to need to do some math. Remember, we're looking for 3 numbers. And just for good measure, we're going to add those 2 additional ones. We're going to go for the city, the county, the ISD, and we're going to add hospital network and the higher education if we can find them. So what do we need to do? We need to find as much Garland as we can. We have City of Garland right there. Garland ISD. All right, so those are the 2 that we're going to find. And Garland is in Dallas County, so we already have that one. Okay, so good. So we're going to go with City of Garland. So as you can see, this is actually even outdated. 0.7. What was the other one? 0.71. 0.71. And then here it's telling us that it is 0.69. For our purposes today, we're going to shoot the middle and we're going to say 0.7 because there's still some numbers we need to guesstimate anyway. So we're going to add this. City, we have the city. Let's go find the county. Well, that's going to be Dallas County. We're going to add this. So we just said that is 0.7. So we are going to add 0.21. So now it's 0.91. All right, so keep that math going. 0.91. Now, what do we need? Well, we need the ISD. Garland has its own independent school district. So we're going to go down here and find Garland ISD. And now we're going to add 1.05. All ISDs are going to have the highest rates of all the 5 numbers that we talked about. It's going to be the highest rate. So it's very important that you at least get the ISD right. 0.1, so 1.05. So we're going to go 1.96, I believe is where we're at. So it's 1.96. So keep that tally going, 1.96. Now for good measure, we're going to go ahead and add the higher education and we're going to add the hospital network. So here we're going to find Parkland Hospital. And we're going to add 0.22 to that. So right here. And that means that it is 2.2. Is that right? 2.2 now. And we're going to add the Dallas colleges. 2.33. I hope I got that right. It's going to be close. It's going to be close. So before I forget it, I'm going to go with 233. So you don't. And when you're using this calculator, you just put 233. Don't put a point because that'll mess it up. This is based off of what lenders call points, and that's how the tool was constructed. So the property tax rate in Garland is 2.33%. Now, again, every single city in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is going to be different. So, in fact, 2.33 is not bad at all. Actually, it's right in the middle. If you go over to the neighbor Mesquite, watch out with property tax rates. Watch out. But overall, again, Garland is still a very still has a really strong real estate market, and the property tax rate is quite reasonable, especially when you're looking at a home that is not as expensive as you would find in neighboring cities like a Plano, like a Richardson, like in Allen, and those surrounding cities. So Garland is still one of my favorite places to place folks in. And I know I'm kind of picking on Mesquite, but I place a lot of people in Mesquite as well because a lot of folks need to be close to Dallas, but Dallas has its challenges from real estate prices sometimes. So we work with what we can, right? All right, so let me know if you have any questions down below. We're going to keep going, but I know that this took a little while. I know this took a little while, but let's keep this moving. Insurance rate. Insurance rate, this is an estimation. We're essentially multiplying 0.75%, which is a percentage, 0.75% of the value of the home to give us a realistic premium of the home insurance, right? So whenever you're buying a home, and you are not paying outright, meaning that you have a lender, you will be required to have home insurance. And it's recommended anyway. 0.75% times that, you're going to see the calculation on the following tab. So this one, don't mess with that number. Mortgage insurance. This is where we get into the conversation of the down payment once again. If you do anything less than 20% down, meaning that 20%, this is where the whole myth of you need 20% down to buy a home myth came up. That's not the case. But if you buy a home with anything less than 20% down, you're paying what's called mortgage insurance. It doesn't matter if you have a conventional loan or an FHA loan. So you're paying mortgage insurance, which is an additional, think of it like a fee, think of it like a premium, think of it like an additional expense for you. How the lender sees it, how the bank sees it, well, they are taking out insurance on you that you're not going to default. Essentially, they're making more money a little bit quicker in the event that you default. That's essentially what's happening. But either way, when you get a conventional loan, again, we're putting 5% down. We're not qualifying if this is an FHA or a conventional. We're just saying 5% down. Now, another big difference between the two financial products of conventional and FHA is if you put anything less than 20% down, with both of them, you're paying mortgage insurance. But under the conventional loan, once you surpass 20% owner equity, or essentially having equity, owning more than 20% of your home, once you surpass that, then the mortgage insurance goes away. That additional expense that you're paying per month goes away. With an FHA loan, even if you get past 20% ownership in that property, that does not go away. You're still paying mortgage insurance forever and for always until that loan is satisfied, or you sell the home, or you refinance into another product that's not an FHA. That's a big distinction. Yearly HOAs, Garland doesn't have that many HOAs, but we're going to leave this here just for the sake of having it. It's good to over budget, be pleasantly surprised in the future. But again, Garland's it's not a HOA, because more of the city has already been established. You're not going to find too many HOAs. Well, let me rephrase that. Anytime there's more than one, people are going to say like, "Oh, that's too many," and I get that. So let's just say, in comparison to other cities, Garland doesn't have as many HOAs. We'll put it that way. We're not going to worry about the income tax rate right now. We're just going to look at this, the yearly gross income. So the yearly gross income is how much you earn, right? So before taxes and all that fun stuff. So we're just looking at the gross income. Now, you are the one that knows how much you make. So for our purposes today, we're just going to say $80,000. That's what we make. Now, what the calculation is going to take into account is going to be how much you make, along with all the other variables that we just talked about. But primarily, it's going to look at what you make, and also what is your debt. Debt such as student loans, debt such as credit card, debt such as car loans, debt such as child support. That is debt. It's not going to rephrase that. It will factor in expenses like groceries, utilities, bills, and all that other stuff, fun stuff, but that's more of a ratio that's already factored in. So for our purposes today, just worry about the gross income, which you can input right there, and also your debt that you have. So you're going to put the name of your debt here, and then the amount that you owe right there. The amount that you're making, the minimum monthly payment that you're making right here. So just name debt, minimum monthly payment, right? This is yours. So remember, once you download it, just go to File and make a copy. You're not editing anything on my end. This is for you. This is just for your clarity. So don't worry about putting information here. It's for you. It's for you. I don't see any of this. Now, if you have another borrower that is looking to buy alongside with you, you're going to put their income here and their debt as well, because we're going to add that in and give you a calculation on the back end. All right, so as you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat, and also hit that like button. Let's get this financial information out there into the world, because it's going to be valuable for a lot of people that are looking to buy. All right, so with that being said, we'll come back to this. I just want to show you the price range. So where the calculator got its name was the max price calculator. It gives you what's the most that you could purchase, right? So I remember when I was looking at buying a home back in the day, my first home, I remember telling my realtor, Bob, how much, what's the most expensive home that I can buy? I was young. I was dumb. I might still be dumb, but I'm not young. Well, I'm still relatively young, I guess. But this was about 10 years ago or something. But I remember asking, hey, what's the most that I could purchase? What's the most expensive home that I can buy, basically? So he referred me to a lender, and as he should have. But one of the things that would have been so valuable for me to have would be a tool like this that would easily allow me to put that information, because although I had no clue, again, what I was doing back then when I was purchasing, I know I could put in some numbers. I knew that I could input that information. So this would have given me a good analysis of, all right, what's considered a safe loan versus a risky loan? What percentage of my income is going to go to my housing needs, right? So this is why we broke it down the way that we did. So if you're looking for a safe, which is subjective, a safe loan, which would amount to 33% of your net income, this is the most expensive home that you can buy in Garland, right? This would be your monthly mortgage payment. Now, let's just say you wanted a moderate loan, or no one's going to ever say, hey, I want a moderate loan, but people are going to say, hey, if I want to buy a $250,000 house, well, what's that going to look like? This is what your monthly payment would be. It would be about 47% of your net income, and you could be approved for that. Now, at the end of the day, the max price that you could be approved for would be $315,000 for the income and the market scenarios that we just talked about up here, and your debt, right? So our purposes say we actually didn't put any debt because we just didn't want to do it that way. But what we need to do in our analysis, we've been doing this. We've done over 30 of these videos. How much do you need to buy in order to? How much do you need to make in order to buy in a specific city? We've been doing a ton of these videos already, and we want the number to be in between a moderate and an aggressive loan. This gives you a realistic situation. We don't want to go into ultra safe, and we also don't want to go into the ultra risky. We just want to give you something feasible. We don't want to exaggerate anything, as a lot of channels out there are doing. Just giving you straight math, straight facts, and giving you something reasonable to work with. So as you know, $339,000 is not between these two numbers. So we need to go to our boss and say, hey boss, I'm trying to buy a house. Can you give me a raise? So we're going to say, can you give me a $20,000 raise? And let's see what comes up. Perfect. Thank you, boss. Now we're good to go. So as you can see, $339,000. In fact, you could actually even go a little bit less, most likely. But we're looking to hit $339,000, and $100,000 did it. Let's see what 90 would do, just to see. You're still in the clear. So you know what? Let's adjust it. Let's say $30,000. I'm sorry, $90,000 is what you would need to purchase a home in Garland. Because again, we're looking at this number right here, being in between the three. We want $339,000, which is what we were solving for. Right here, we're solving for this, and we need it between the moderate and the aggressive. All right, so that is the answer, but let's go back up here and break down the math. Now, of course, this is not the math that we're trying to shoot for, so I got to go and do a little bit of an adjustment on my end. So don't pay attention to this number that I'm putting in here. I just want to get to this number as close to 339 as possible, so we can talk about the principal and interest and everything in between, to show you where all the math goes. Close. Again, don't pay attention to this income now. That's close enough. We're going to pretend this is $339,000. All right, so a home that is $339,000 in the city of Garland, you're based off of the market scenarios that we just created with the down payment, interest rate, 30 years, property tax, insurance rate, blah, blah, blah. You're looking at almost $3,300. Let's just call it $3,300 a month. That is what you can expect to pay on a property of this amount. Down payment wise, you're looking at almost $17,000 for that 5% down payment. Remember, this could go a little bit further down if that's required. Just know that the payment's going to be higher because you're not putting as much down. Estimated closing costs, this is what you're looking at. So if you add these together, to close on a property like this, you're looking at, what is that, $25,000 to buy a home in Garland right now for a 5% down based off of this market scenario and the income that you have and all that fun stuff. You're looking at $25,000 at the closing table. That's what you would need to hand over via a wire or a cashier's check at the closing table, right? Just giving you a realistic scenario. Now, this goes back to that breakdown that I was telling you about. That was a huge sticker shock when I actually looked at where my money was going. And again, this is all on me. I'm not blaming my realtor Bob. He's actually a good friend, mentor, all that fun stuff. But this was my ignorance. This was straight up me. So principal and interest of this amount, almost $3,300 of that amount, this goes to principal and interest. At the beginning, again, maybe $1 is going to go to your principal. The rest is going to go to your interest. As you make payments every single month, it's going to start inverting. That number is going to be the same if you get a fixed interest rate. It's going to start inverting to where soon you're paying more in your principal than to the interest, right? So the banks make their money back quick, right? So they're making it back as fast as they can, and then they invert. But what's going to continue to creep up on you is going to be property taxes. Property taxes, that's why it's so important that you have the number in hand and know what each property tax, what each city has in property tax rates. Right now, you're looking at about $652 in property taxes if the property that you purchase is has a assessed value of about $339,000, which is rare that it would be the same as a market value, which is what we are actually calculating for, but I'm giving you the conservative number. As homes continue to increase in value, you're paying more in property taxes, regardless if you have a loan on that or not. As long as you own that property, you're paying property taxes, no way around that. All right, homeowners insurance. Homeowners insurance right now, the premium, an estimated premium is about $210 per month. Your mortgage insurance, remember that that number that we were talking, well, it wasn't a number, it was just basically the explanation. If you put less than 20% down, you're paying mortgage insurance, is what we talked about. This is the mortgage insurance that you're paying per month. So remember, if you have a conventional loan, until you go beyond 20% in ownership of that property, which can happen in 6, 7, 8, 9 years, depending on the price of depending on the appreciation, and also you making these payments, you're going to be paying that mortgage insurance, and then it goes away. Now, an FHA loan, this amount that you're seeing right here is going to stay there for the life of the loan. Again, until you either sell the property, until you pay the loan altogether, or you refinance into something that's not an FHA loan, right? So just know that. And then the HOA, so the Homeowners Association, it's actually not included in the mortgage payment. We just like to include it here just for budget. That's all we do, right? So again, the HOA, although it's probably not going to be a big factor when you're buying in Garland, we do like to include it for one, but two, here for budget purposes, just so you see it on paper. The homeowner's insurance is going to be charged at the beginning of the month, at the beginning of the year by your HOA. You're going to get an invoice saying, hey, you have 30 days to pay this. If you don't, we are going to assess you a big fine. And if you continue to not pay this, then we are going to put a lien on your property. There you go. Alrighty, so as you continue going, again, this is linked down below, so make sure that you get it. As you continue scrolling down, you're going to find some very valuable information, but we're not going to spend too much time here. Actually, we're not going to spend any time here just outside of this. When you're in the heat of battle, it's very important for you to make quick decisions, especially, again, if you're in the heat of battle. This helps you do that. It gives you different scenarios. Hey, if you're able to get the house for cheaper, 10% cheaper, you don't have to go and do any calculations. You can do this right here and instantly. Now, if you are in a bidding war and you need to go higher, well, what if we need to do 5% higher? What if we need to do 10% higher? What does that do for us? Well, this lets you know how much more you'll need for the down payment, how much more you're going to need in closing costs, and how much more it's going to cost you per month. So oftentimes we see, we get this call from the realtor. Hey, in order to get this property, you need to do over 20%. You need to do over $20,000 over asking. And we get all flustered and think like, well, one, you're a terrible realtor. Again, find that offensive. But we get all flustered. They looking at these big numbers. We need to break it down. Like, all right, well, what does that mean for me monthly? Can I afford this? Is this something that I want to do? Right? So this gives you a way to do that pretty easily. Alrighty, so just continue going down. There's so many different calculations. We're not gonna have time to cover any of those, but again, this is linked down below. Once you download it, make sure you go to File and then make a copy and save it into your drive. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to drop them down in the chat. If we can help you and support you in purchasing your next home or selling your home, please feel free to reach out to us. Our contact information is down there as well. You can always shoot us an email at admin@highmayorsense.com. We would gladly support you. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next one.